Hello, everybody. I'm here with John Felice, the VP of Marketing for BranchHub. John, thank you so much for jumping on here and giving me some of your time today.
Oh, dang it, Daniel, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I know we want to talk about Instagram today in particular. I talk to advisors a lot, talk to them about social media a lot. I know there's a lot of interest in growing business on Instagram. I was curious if you could give us your take on why Instagram is an important platform for travel advisors to use.
Sure. I would say there's two reasons, database and demographics. So from a database perspective, there's almost 200 million users in North America on Instagram. And a large percentage of that content that they're engaging with is travel related. People are getting vacation ideas there. They're making plans both before and while they're traveling in destination, they're using it. Of course, they're posting during their vacation and when they get home. So there's a lot of activity around travel there. And we want to be in those conversations, really. Um, when I think of Instagram, I think of it as a direct marketing tool within your marketing toolbox. And what I mean by that really is, in my opinion, as a travel advisor, the goal is not to become a mega influencer with tens of thousands and millions of followers. You want to be a micro influencer, getting people to know, like, and trust you as their travel advisor. And so really setting up a professional account is, table stakes. Um, you don't want to be working your personal Instagram account. They've made it really easy to create a professional account. And from a demographic perspective, the oldest millennials are turning 43. That means they're going to be planning a 50th birthday getaway pretty soon.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who really built up Instagram and they're not leaving. So there's this demographic shift that's happening that we really want to take advantage of it. And that's whether you're an advisor who is a millennial or someone who's more experienced and, working with them.
Yeah, I will say the 200 million user number is really wild. I remember the platform being brand new and 200 million users on it is just such a crazy number. And also, I find it interesting that you mentioned in destination, they're also looking for recommendations, and Instagram is a platform thing that is a piece I never considered. So I think that is incredibly interesting. In terms of content, I mean, you spoke about how advisors should look at Instagram, but in terms of what content they publish in order to be successful in the platform or to generate a wider audience in the platform, I was hoping you give us some guidance on that.
Well, one of the advantages we have being in this fantastic industry is content. Everybody loves the beautiful imagery and video content that we have access to because it's travel. If we were selling ball bearings, it's going to be a lot tougher to get some
Yeah.
engagement. So I think that's the number one key is high quality imagery and video. And by that, I don't mean shot with the latest, 4K camera. It's how is it framed? Is it clear? And it doesn't have to give the story away because sometimes you want people to go, where is that? And that's part of Instagram's allure. People are looking for Instagrammable places to add to their travel list. So that is really key. The captions or text that you use in there is important for engagement and the use of hashtags, which I think is important. Um, there's lots of royalty-free images available out there, different websites that make it available. Usually they just look for photo credit for the photographer, but really Creative Commons. But I would say the one thing that is amazing with the industry as well is the supplier support. So if you sign up for an advisor portal with a supplier, go in and most of them will have a marketing assets library that you can use and take advantage of that. There's lots of great things in there, and so they'll help you along that way. I will add one caveat to that. You can't assume that those images are licensed forever by the supplier. So you have to go in, stay current with what they have as their current assets. The other thing that I would caution is don't start off with gusto and taper off. I've visited lots of Facebook and Instagram pages where The question is, are they still in business? It doesn't seem like they've posted recently or very much. And so that's one of the biggest risks is you think it's easier than it is. So be careful on time expectations. And really, if it feels overwhelming, that's where BranchUp comes in, really.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, we provide the content, a way to edit the posts, a marketing calendar that you can do autopilot or customize as much as you like.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on the road, a lot of time with travel advisors, a lot of time with, you mentioned travel influencers as well, who have completely different business models. But it's interesting because a lot of the discussion I get from travel advisors who are on these trips is they're building content plans because they know there's going to be time in the future when they're not traveling, they're going to want to get content. So I thought it was a good call out that suppliers are very willing to let you use their photos, their videos in order to promote their product, in order to showcase their product. So I think that is important for advisors to know. Um, Speaking of that, I know advisors get overwhelmed a lot by having to build out content plans in the future. Whether it's that concern or any other concerns, do you have advice for advisors who are looking at Instagram, looking at this platform, and might be starting to get overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think organization is the key to battling overwhelm. And we all
Yeah.
suffer from it, right? There's so many things going on. So for me, it's planning and ideally using automation. So set up a schedule so you're not waking up scrambling, going, oh, what am I going to post? And whether you use a spreadsheet, a paper calendar, or any of the other tools out there that are great for scheduling. The thing with BranchUp is we have a marketing calendar, and you can see that by day, by week, and also by tactic, by Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and client newsletters. And so you want to think about it that same way. So build that same structure. If you're thinking about a spreadsheet, what are the tactics and what are the days of the week? And if you really want to get fancy, forward plan. It's like, these are the holidays. What am I going to do for Mother's Day? So just forward planning, staying organized, and then those ideas will hit you at different times. There's a great book by Dan Martell called Buy Back Your Time. And in it, he talks about the need for us as business owners to leverage our time doing the tasks that make us money.
Yeah.
And delegate or buy things that are, below our pay grade. And this could be one of them because as a travel advisor, spending time with clients, spending time with suppliers, reaching out to our database, those are revenue generating. Searching for content ideas and things like that, not the same return for most people. So we like to think of BranchUp as having your own marketing assistant working for you, saving you the time to keep your social media active and really professional looking.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard it both ways. I've heard people sort of fall off plans because they weren't seeing engagement or they weren't getting success. They weren't driving engagement with whatever audience they were going to. And then I've seen it the other way where advisors had dropped other tasks and hired people to perform marketing tasks or perform some client facing tasks because they've done such a good job generating audiences in social media. So I think that's the perfect way to put it. You know what I mean? Figure out what is working for your agency, perform your tasks that way. I think that's a great way to remember. We only have about a minute left, John, but I don't want to let you go. You mentioned a couple things about BranchUp, but anything else coming with BranchUp? Anything you would want our audience, which is exclusively travel advisors, to know about?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot of talk around hashtags and how those all work. And without getting into too much detail, have the hashtags that describe who you do. Hashtag cruise travel agent. When you're doing a destination, hashtag travel Iceland, those kinds of things. But BranchUp lets you create your standard set and they appear in all of your posts. So that's really another time saver. But in the end, when we talk about engagement, you mentioned the word engagement. It's a two-way street. And so we can't just put content up there, build it, and they will come. When people interact, whether it's a like or a comment, we have to comment back, get into the conversation. It's a direct marketing tool. So the other thing that I would do is spend time liking and commenting on the posts of the people who are in your database. Right? Hey, remember
Yeah.
we have this relationship. I'm your trusted travel advisor. And, keeping in mind the goal is, to have a healthy business, a few hundred people who know, like, and trust you, that can make a successful travel advisor.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for your time. We're gonna drop everything the advisors and our readers need to know about finding you, finding Branch Up. But just appreciate your time and yeah, great talking to you.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.